I never planned to stop in Frostvale. I was supposed to pass the mountain town before nightfall, supposed to stay invisible, supposed to keep running. But storms don't care about plans. And neither does fate. By the time the first snow hit my lashes, the road behind me was already gone, swallowed by white wind and screaming dark. That was when I saw the inn's lantern burning through the storm like a warning. Or a promise. I didn't know the man inside it would feel like recognition. I didn't know my wolf would wake for the first time in years. And I definitely didn't know that the stranger who would share my bed that night was the most powerful alpha in the north. Or that by morning, my life would no longer belong to me alone. My name is Elara Vale. And this is how the hunt for me began. The storm found me 3 hours past dusk. Welcome to Floxy's Shifter Romance Tales. Before we dive in, I'd love your support. Kindly hit the likes button and let the story hit 200 likes. Also, subscribe, drop a comment and tell me where you're listening from. Your engagement means the world to me. Now let's begin. It didn't arrive gently. It came like something hunting. The wind tore through the mountain pass with a scream that rattled my bones, driving needles of ice into my cheeks and forcing my mare into a trembling, dangerous hesitation. Snow swallowed the road so quickly I couldn't tell where the ground ended and the drop began. Every instinct in me held shelter. Now. That was when I saw it. A single lantern, swinging violently in the wind, a squat stone building crouched against the cliff face, its roof already heavy with snow. The Frostvale Inn. I nearly cried with relief. I dismounted stiffly, boots crunching into ice, and shoved against the heavy oak door. Warmth hit me first. Then a voice. I paid double. The room is mine. Low. Controlled. Dangerous in the way of distant thunder. I don't care what you paid, the innkeeper snapped back. I promised the girl who came in before you. And I keep my word. I stepped inside fully, and walked straight into him. Or rather, into the solid wall of his back. He was tall. Broad. Wrapped in a dark travel cloak dusted white with snow. I had to tilt my head to see his face as he turned. And when he did, my breath left my lungs. Sharp cheekbones. Storm gray eyes. A mouth that looked like it had never learned to apologize for the trouble it caused. But it wasn't beauty that froze me. It was recognition. My wolf, silent for years, lifted its head inside my chest. The air changed. His eyes locked onto mine. And something invisible snapped tight between us. Not attraction. Not curiosity. Something older. Deeper. His pupils widened. His body went utterly still. He felt it too. No. No, no, no. I took a step back, heart slamming. The innkeeper cleared her throat. As I was saying, there's one room left. Just one. Storm's closing the pass. Anyone outside after tonight won't last till morning. Her sharp gaze flicked between us. So unless you plan on freezing to death out there, you two will need to sort it out. Silence stretched. The stranger never took his eyes off me. We'll share, he said. My spine stiffened. I didn't agree to. You'd rather die in the snow, he interrupted quietly. The storm slammed into the building like a living thing, rattling the shutters. Logic warred with instinct. Fear warred with the pull curling low in my stomach. I had survived too much to die in a mountain pass. Fine, I said. The word felt like surrender. The innkeeper slid a key across the counter. Only one bed. Fire's temperamental. You need anything, I'm 2 doors down. Her gaze softened when it met mine. You holler. The man took the key. I'll take the floor, he said. I studied him. Something in his tone told me he meant it. The room was small. Stone walls. One narrow bed. A cold fireplace. A single window screaming with wind. I dropped my pack and went straight to the hearth. I needed distance. I needed something to do. Behind me, the door closed. Soft. Final. "I'm Elara," I said, because silence was worse. A pause. "Rowan," he replied. The way he said my name, slow, careful, sent heat sliding down my spine. I lit the fire. The flames caught. So did my awareness of him. I knew where he was without looking. I knew when he moved. I knew when his attention shifted back to me. "You're running," he said quietly. I didn't answer. "And you're afraid." Still nothing. But my hands trembled over the flames. "I won't touch you," Rowan added. "Not unless you ask." I turned. He stood near the window, arms loose at his sides, eyes steady. No threat. No push. Only promise. I hated how much I wanted to believe him. The storm roared outside. The fire cracked. And something ancient and dangerous stirred between us. That night, I dreamed of fire. Of screaming. Of a silver wolf sigil burning into my memory. I woke choking on air. Rowan was there instantly. "It's okay," he said, steady hands grounding me. "You're safe." No one had said that to me in 3 weeks. I broke. And in his arms, the war between what I was running from and what I was running toward. I didn't sleep again after the nightmare. Not really. My body lay on the narrow bed, the thin quilt pulled to my chin, but my mind stayed wide awake, alert to every shift of the fire, every groan of the building as the storm battered the mountainside. Rowan sat in the chair near the door, one arm resting across his thigh, his head tipped back against the wall. He hadn't slept either. I could tell by the way his eyes tracked every shadow, every flicker of movement. A man used to keeping watch. A man used to danger. Every so often, his gaze would find me, as if checking that I was still there. Still breathing. Still real. I told myself the tightness in my chest had nothing to do with him. It was the memories. The screams. The smell of smoke that still lived in my lungs no matter how many times I breathed. But even as I lay there, my awareness kept drifting back to him. The stranger fate had placed between me and death. The remembering pull between us that my wolf refused to let me forget. "Rowan?" I whispered. He was on his feet immediately. Yes. Not groggy. Not confused. Just there. Can you light the fire again? It's fading." He nodded, crossed the room, and knelt to feed another log into the hearth. The glow returned slowly, pushing back the shadows. I watched him in the firelight. The way the flames carved bronze and gold across his features. The scars I hadn't noticed before. The controlled economy of his movements. A fighter. A protector. Something old and disciplined lived beneath his skin. He straightened and turned, and for a moment we only looked at each other. The silence between us was thick with things unsaid. "I'm sorry," I murmured. "For what?" "For waking you." "You didn't." I hesitated. "You don't sleep much, do you?" A corner of his mouth lifted. "Not when there's someone else in the room who looks like she's been running from ghosts." My fingers curled into the blanket. "You're not wrong," I said quietly. He didn't push. He didn't soften it with false comfort either. He just waited. So I spoke. "My pack is gone." The words sounded strange out loud. Too small for what they meant. Rowan didn't move. Didn't interrupt. Didn't pretend he already understood. 3 weeks ago, I continued. We were in the southern woods. Clearwater Vale. We were small. Quiet. No political importance. No trade routes. No reason to be targeted. My voice wavered, but I forced it steady. They came just before dawn. His jaw tightened. Men in black armor. Organized. Silent. They killed the outer guards before anyone could shift. I closed my eyes. They went door to door. They didn't loot. They didn't negotiate. They didn't even chase those who tried to flee. Why? Rowan asked softly. They were looking for something, I whispered. He waited. I don't know what they expected to find, I said. But when they didn't, they burned everything. My throat closed. I swallowed. My father shoved me into the root cellar beneath our house. Told me not to make a sound. Told me I had to live. My hands trembled now. I heard them kill him. I heard my little cousins screaming for their mother. I smelled smoke. I tasted blood. Rowan moved closer. Slow. Careful. He stopped just within reach. I stayed there until the screams stopped, I said. Until the only sound left was fire. I opened my eyes. When I came out, there was nothing left. Just ash. And bodies. And one man laughing while he watched it burn. Rowan inhaled sharply. I saw his face, I said. Just once. Long enough that I'll never forget it. I looked up at him. That's why I'm still alive. He searched my expression. Because you want revenge. Because I want the truth, I corrected. Because someone ordered that massacre. Because packs don't vanish by accident. And because if I die, I finished, so does the only witness. The fire popped. The storm held. Rowan lifted a hand as if he might touch my shoulder, then stopped himself. Whoever did this, he said quietly, they didn't choose a random target. My breath caught. You think so too? Yes. He stepped back and resumed his seat, but something in him had shifted. His voice when he spoke next was no longer only kind. It was focused. They've been hitting packs across the Northern Territories for months, he said. Small ones. Isolated ones. Ones without political backing. My pulse thudded. You know about the attacks. I've been tracking them. The words landed like a stone in water. Tracking them, how? Patterns. Survivors. Missing patrols. Rumors people are too afraid to say out loud. He leaned forward. Your pack wasn't the first. My stomach twisted. How many? 7 confirmed. Possibly more. 7. My fingers pressed into the mattress. And no one stopped them? Someone is, he said. Or I wouldn't be here. I studied him. You're not just a traveler. No. What are you? He hesitated. A hunter, he said at last. Of the men who do things like that. My wolf stirred. Approval. Recognition. Then you can help me, I said. His gaze sharpened. I don't want comfort, Rowan. I don't want to hide in the South and pretend it didn't happen. I want to find them. His voice was steady. Finding them puts you in more danger than you already are. I'm already hunted, I replied. They left one witness. That was a mistake. And I intend to make them regret it. Silence stretched. Then Rowan stood. Crossed the room. And sank onto the edge of the bed. Close enough now that I could feel the warmth of him. Close enough that the bond between us pulsed like a living thing. You don't speak like a victim, he said. You speak like someone who survived. I met his eyes. There's a difference. He nodded once. If you travel with me, he said, you won't just be running anymore. Good. You'll see things you can't unsee. I already have. You may have to fight. I already am. He studied me for a long moment. Then he extended his hand. Then we go together. My breath hitched. Not because of this, he added quietly, his gaze flicking briefly between us. Not because of the pull. Because it's safer. And because you deserve answers. I placed my hand in his. The contact sent a jolt through both of us. Not heat. Not desire. Recognition. The bond stirred, brighter now, warmer. Something old and powerful had just shifted from possibility into path. Where would we go? I asked. There's a fortified outpost 2 days south, he said. A place where information moves faster than fear. If anyone's coordinating these raids, threads will lead there. And after that? After that, he said, we hunt. The word sent something fierce through me. I nodded. Then that's where I'm going. His grip tightened briefly around my fingers. Get some rest, he said. Morning comes fast in the mountains. He rose, returned to the chair. But this time, the silence felt different. He wasn't just a stranger keeping watch. He was someone who had chosen to walk beside me. And that changed everything. I must have slept, because when I opened my eyes again, pale light filled the room. The storm had passed. The world outside the window lay buried in white. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then I felt it. The warmth. The steady rise and fall of breath behind me. An arm around my waist. At some point in the night, without memory or permission, I had moved. And Rowan had caught me. I lay very still. His body was solid at my back. Warm. Anchoring. His chin rested lightly in my hair. He was awake. I knew because the bond hummed between us, alert, aware. You're not dreaming, he murmured. I exhaled. Wasn't sure. You moved in your sleep, he said. I didn't want to wake you. I should have pulled away. Should have reclaimed space. Instead, I closed my eyes again. Thank you. For not letting me fall. His arm tightened slightly. Not something I'm inclined to do. The words carried weight. I turned slowly to face him. Up close, the storm gray of his eyes was threaded with gold. Wolf. Alpha. Power lived there. But so did restraint. I meant what I said last night, I told him. About going with you. I know. And I won't slow you down. I'm counting on that. Our gazes held. The bond thrummed, low and deep. Rowan, I whispered. Yes. Whatever this is, between us. I can't afford for it to distract either of us. His thumb brushed once, lightly, at my waist. Good, he said quietly. Because it won't. I searched his face. And because you're afraid of it too. A ghost of a smile touched his mouth. I'm afraid of what I'd become if I let it distract me. The honesty in that did something dangerous to my chest. I pushed up and out of his arms before I could think too long on it. Then we'll be careful, I said. Both of us. He sat up as well. Careful, he echoed. We dressed, ate what little remained of my food, and prepared to leave. The innkeeper barely charged us. She only studied Rowan once, then me, then said, storms bring more than snow, sometimes. I didn't know what she meant. But as Rowan and I stepped back into the pale morning, the mountains silent and blinding around us, I felt it. My running had ended. My hunt had begun. And the man walking at my side was not just a protector. He was a complication. A secret. And, whether I was ready to face it or not, a turning point my life would never recover from. The road south was quieter than it should have been. That was the first thing Rowan noticed. He didn't say it immediately. He rarely did. He observed first. Watched. Measured. But after an hour of riding through untouched snow and frozen pine, after we passed the third abandoned watch post with no guards and no smoke rising from the chimneys, he slowed his horse. Something's wrong. My wolf stirred uneasily. What is it? I asked. These roads should be patrolled, he said. Even in winter. Especially after storms. He dismounted, crouched near the rutted path, and brushed away snow. Tracks. Too many. Boots. Horses. Wagons. And none of them heading toward Frostvale. They were all moving south. Recently. Who would travel in this weather? I murmured. Someone who doesn't want to be followed. A chill crept down my spine. We rode on more cautiously after that. Rowan kept us off the main road, cutting through the tree line when he could, scanning ridgelines, scenting the wind. He didn't explain how he knew which direction to go. He just did. And I followed. By midday, the mountains thinned into broken highlands, jagged stone rising from fields of frozen grass. In the distance, smoke finally marked civilization. Outpost Kestrel. The fortified Southern Watch. Relief loosened something tight in my chest. But Rowan did not relax. As we approached, guards emerged from the gate towers. Then more. Too many. Steel flashed. Weapons were raised. Rowan drew his horse to a halt. I felt it before I saw it. The shift in the air. The sudden, overwhelming pressure. Not fear. Submission. The guards stiffened. Some stepped back without understanding why. Others lowered their weapons entirely. My breath caught. Rowan straightened in his saddle. And something about him changed. Not posture. Presence. The quiet, controlled man beside me became something heavier. Larger. As if the space itself made room for him. Stand down, he said. The words were not loud. They didn't need to be. Every guard dropped to one knee. I stared. Rowan didn't look at them. He looked at the garrison doors. They burst open. A man strode out, armor polished, expression sharp. Then he saw Rowan. And froze. My lord. He went to both knees instantly. My heart slammed. My lord? Rowan swung down from his horse. I need a private room. Now. Yes, my lord. Immediately, my lord. The man rose, eyes flicking to me, curious, startled, wary. Rowan's hand found the small of my back. A claiming, grounding pressure. You will treat her with full respect, Rowan said. She is under my protection. The man's gaze sharpened. Of course. We were ushered through gates that closed heavily behind us. People lined the courtyard. Soldiers. Workers. Messengers. Every one of them bowed. Every one. My pulse thundered. What is going on? I whispered. Rowan didn't answer. He guided me through stone corridors into a command chamber where maps covered the walls and the smell of ink and steel filled the air. Only once the doors shut did he turn to me. His eyes searched mine. I owe you an explanation. You think? I said faintly. He exhaled. My name is not Rowan. My chest tightened. It's Kaelin Wraithborn. The name hit something deep in my memory. Stories. Whispers. Kaelin Wraithborn, I repeated. The Alpha King of the Northern Crownlands. He nodded once. Silence roared in my ears. You're the king, I said. Yes. My legs felt unsteady. The man who had shared a bed with me. Who had fed the fire. Who had held me through nightmares. Who had kissed my hair in the dark. The Alpha King. I travel in disguise, he continued. It allows me to move through my territories without fear or politics getting in the way of truth. You let me believe you were just a hunter. I am, he said quietly. This is simply the part one didn't tell you. I looked at the door. At the guards outside. At the reality crashing down around me. You lied to me. I withheld, he corrected. Because the crown changes things. It makes people see power before they see the person. His gaze softened. I didn't want that from you. My heart twisted painfully. You should have told me. Yes. Why didn't you? He didn't answer immediately. Then, honestly, because I wanted one night where I wasn't a king. I looked away. Because I wanted to know who you were when you didn't have authority. He stepped closer. And because I knew the moment you felt the bond, you would either trust me, or fear me. My voice was quiet. Which do you think I'm doing? Both. I laughed weakly. That's fair. I crossed my arms. So what happens now? Now, he said, you are in more danger than I let myself believe. My stomach dropped. Because if you survived a massacre organized across territories, then this is no longer about raiders. It's about power. He gestured to the maps. I've spent the last year uncovering signs of coordination. Corruption. Entire patrols going missing. Packs wiped out with military precision. By whom? That, he said, is what I brought you here to discover. A knock came. A man entered. Tall. Hard-eyed. Scar across his brow. My king, he said. Your council liaison has arrived. And Captain Marek reports activity along the eastern border. Kalen's jaw tightened. Tell Marek to seal the roads and triple patrols. And have the liaison wait. The man bowed and left. Kalen turned back to me. There is someone I need you to meet. Who? My second. A door opened behind him. Another man entered. Dark-haired. Broad-shouldered. His presence strong, but different. Controlled ambition. Sharp intelligence. Your Majesty, he said, then his gaze shifted to me. And my blood went cold. I knew that face. Not clearly. Not perfectly. But enough. The same angle of the jaw. The same narrow cruelty in the eyes. The same shape of mouth that had smiled while my home burned. I swayed. Kalen was instantly at my side. Elara? The room tilted. The man stepped closer. Is she unwell? I stared at him. You, I whispered. His brow creased. Have we met? Kalen's gaze snapped to me. Elara. What is it? My throat closed. The memory surged. Fire. Laughter. Silver wolf insignia. I saw you, I said hoarsely. At Clearwater Vale. The man stilled. Then smiled. A small, polite curve of the lips. I'm afraid you're mistaken. No, I said. You were there. The air in the room went tight. Enough, Kalen said sharply. Darian, leave us. The man hesitated. My king. Now. Darian bowed stiffly and exited. The door shut. Kalen turned fully to me. Elara. Tell me exactly what you mean. I saw him, I said. 3 weeks ago. He led them. He watched my pack die. Kalen's face drained of color. That's impossible. Why? Because Darian Veilcrest has been my second in command for 11 years. The name rang like a death bell. Because he commands the eastern patrols. Because I trust him with my life. My chest felt hollow. Then your trust is misplaced. Kalen stepped away, running a hand through his hair. Describe him, he demanded. Everything you remember. I closed my eyes. And forced myself back into hell. The armor was blackened steel. The wolf insignia on his chest was silver-etched. He spoke like a noble. Not like a mercenary. He didn't shout. He gave orders. I opened my eyes. And when my father begged him to spare the children, he laughed. Kalen's hands clenched. Darian was away from court 3 weeks ago, he murmured. On extended patrol. He crossed to the map wall. Pushed a marker. Every massacre location lit the pattern. all along Darian's jurisdiction. Kaelin's breath left him slowly. If this is true. He's not alone, I said. The men were trained. Supplied. This is bigger than one traitor. Kaelin looked at me. And for the first time since I'd met him. He looked afraid. Then this is a coup in motion. A cold realization slid through me. They're not just killing Pax, I whispered. They're removing opposition, Kaelin finished. And searching for something. His gaze sharpened on mine. For you. A chill spread through my veins. Why me? Because, he said slowly, your presence strengthens my power. I swallowed. And not just mine. I remembered the way the air had bent when he spoke at the gates. The way the guards had dropped. The way my chest had burned when he touched me. There are legends, Kaelin continued. Of resonance wolves. Not alphas. Not healers. Amplifiers. I felt suddenly exposed. They were hunted into near extinction centuries ago. Why? Because in the wrong hands, they end wars. I met his eyes. And in the right hands? They change kingdoms. Silence fell between us. What does that make me? I asked. Kaelin stepped close. It makes you the most dangerous person in this territory. And you still want me here? His hand lifted. Stopped just short of touching my cheek. I need you here. His voice softened. But more than that. I want you here. The honesty in it cut deeper than fear. And Darian? I asked. If he is behind this, Kaelin said grimly, then everything I know is compromised. And we're surrounded. Yes. A distant bell rang. Alarm. A horn followed. Kaelin's head snapped toward the door. That was the Eastern signal, he said. They've found something, I whispered. He grabbed his cloak. We don't have time to unravel this slowly. What are we doing? His eyes burned with resolve. We're going to confirm the truth. How? He took my face in his hands. By letting him make the next move. My pulse hammered. You're using me as bait. I am protecting you as bait, he corrected. There is a difference. And if he tries to kill me? Then, Kaelin said, he will have to go through me. The bond between us surged. Hot. Protective. Terrifying. Because for the first time since Frostvale, I saw it clearly. Kaelin was not just a man. He was a king. And kings did not love gently. They loved like war. Kaelin didn't give the order aloud. He didn't need to. The garrison shifted the moment he stepped back into the corridor. Soldiers straightened. Messengers scattered. Commands moved without being spoken. The king was no longer a man traveling the roads. He was power in motion. And I was walking at the center of it. From this moment on, Kaelin said quietly beside me, assume every wall has ears. Every face may be watching. My stomach tightened. You think Darian already knows? I know he does. We descended stone steps into the lower war hall. Maps covered long tables. Lantern light flickered against steel and parchment. Kaelin gestured, and only 3 men remained, the scar-browed captain from earlier, a younger woman with healer's markings on her wrists, and an older strategist whose eyes missed nothing. This is Captain Marek. Healer Tamsin. And Lord Commander Wrath. They bowed. These 3, Kaelin said, have guarded my life since I took the crown. If Darian is a traitor, they will help us end him. He turned to them. Elara Vale is under my protection. What she says is to be treated as my word. 3 heads bowed again. My chest felt too tight. Kaelin moved to the map table. Darian controls the eastern patrol routes, he said. He's careful. He won't move openly unless he thinks the advantage is his. Wrath leaned forward. Then we make him think it is. Kalen nodded. He believes Elara is alone. A survivor. Valuable. And now, his jaw tightened, he knows she's here. My heart thudded. We leak it, Marek said slowly. That she's being moved south. Light guard. Quiet transfer. Kalen's gaze cut to him. No. She is the target, Reth countered. He won't reveal himself unless he believes he can reach her. Kalen's eyes went to me. And I knew what he was going to say before he spoke. We set a trap, he said quietly. With me close enough to strike. Silence followed. Tamsin frowned. Your Majesty, if she is what you believe, if she truly amplifies power, then she is more than bait. She is leverage. Darian will not risk open battle. He will isolate her. Kalen's jaw flexed. He will try to take her. And you'll walk into it, Marek finished. Kalen looked at me. Not as a king. Not as a commander. As a man. I will not force you into this, he said. If you say no, this ends here. The room waited. Every instinct I had told me this was madness. And every instinct I had left told me it was necessary. He's going to come for me anyway, I said. Whether we plan it or not. Kalen didn't argue. He slaughtered my pack, I continued. He's already cost me everything I was trying to protect. I won't spend the rest of my life running from him. I stepped closer to the table. If this is how we expose him, then I'm in. Marek swore under his breath. Tamsin looked torn. Reth studied me with something like respect. Kalen's hands clenched slowly at his sides. We do this on our terms, he said. You are never alone. You never leave my sight unless I give the signal. And the moment anything shifts wrong, anything, you get out. I met his gaze. And you don't play hero. His mouth twitched. I am the hero. It's in the title. I didn't smile. You're the king, I said. Not expendable. His voice softened dangerously. You are not expendable. Reth cleared his throat. We can stage a supply route transfer, he said. 2 miles east. Old trade clearing. Light escort. Easy approach. Kalen nodded. Make sure the rumor spreads. Within an hour, the garrison was in motion. False orders dispatched. Fake routes planned. Whispers allowed to leak. And Darian was nowhere to be seen. They dressed me like a traveler again. Plain cloak. Simple pack. A horse that looked ordinary. Kalen wore dark armor beneath his cloak, his presence muted, contained. To anyone watching, he was just another guard. To me, he was a storm held behind skin. We rode at dusk. The forest swallowed the road quickly. Snow-muffled sound. Every snap of a branch made my nerves flare. You're shaking, Kalen murmured from beside me. Adrenaline, I said. Not fear. That's not the same as calm. I'm not trying to be calm. He studied me. You don't have to prove anything to me. I'm not. The clearing appeared ahead. Wide. Open. A natural bowl between black pines. Marek and his soldiers melted into the treeline. Invisible. Waiting. Kalen guided my horse to the center. We stop here, he said. We dismounted. He took the reins. Then his hand caught mine. Just for a moment. A grounding touch. You feel that? He asked quietly. The bond hummed. Tight. Bright. Yes. That's your anchor, he said. If it breaks, if you feel it go distant, run. My chest tightened. I won't lose you. He lifted my hand. Pressed his forehead briefly to my knuckles. You won't. Then he released me. And stepped back. Into shadow. Leaving me alone. The cold rushed in immediately. The clearing felt too big. Too empty. I moved slowly, deliberately. Unbuckled my pack. Pretended to search for something. My senses stretched outward. Not hearing. Not sight. Something deeper. The same place where the bond lived. And then? Movement. A ripple of intent. A wrongness in the air. Well, a cultured voice said from the treeline. That was remarkably easy. My spine went rigid. He stepped into view. Darien Veilcrest. Exactly as I remembered. Dark hair. Sharp eyes. Silver wolf insignia gleaming against blackened armor. Not alone. 6 men fanned behind him. Trained. Armed. Smiling. I was beginning to think the king had more sense than this, Darien continued lightly. Leaving his newest asset so poorly guarded. My blood burned. You murdered my pack, I said. Recognition flickered. Ah. The survivor. Yes, he said pleasantly. I wondered when we'd meet again. My hand tightened around the strap of my pack. Why? I demanded. Because the old order is rotting, he replied. Because power has been squandered on bloodlines instead of ability. Because people like you should not be allowed to disappear into the dirt. You burn children alive. He shrugged. Waste is unfortunate. But unavoidable. My vision swam red. You're a monster. I'm a visionary, he corrected. And you, Elara Vale, are the future. He took a step closer. And I'm afraid you're coming with me. The men moved. I felt it then. The bond flaring. A warning. A pull. Kaelin. Now. Before I could speak, Darien's hand lifted. A subtle gesture. Something cold pressed to the side of my neck. Steel. One of his men stood behind me. Blade at my throat. Well done, Darien said. Efficient. The forest stayed silent. Too silent. My king, Darien called softly. You may come out now. I know you're here. Kaelin stepped from the trees. And the clearing seemed to shrink around him. His hood fell back. Eyes glowing faintly gold. Release her, he said. Darien smiled. Or what? Kaelin's power rolled outward. The men flinched. Not enough. Darien laughed quietly. You always did rely too much on fear, he said. I've learned otherwise. He met my eyes. Do you know what you are? He asked. They used to call your kind resonance. Kingsmakers. War singers. My pulse thundered. They hunted you, he continued. Feared you. Because with you, even a weak alpha becomes unstoppable. The blade bit deeper. You will come with me, he said. Or I'll carve this pretty throat open and let you bleed into the snow. Darien, Kaelin said softly. There was something terrible in his voice. Something breaking. I will tear the world apart to get her back. I'm counting on it, Darien replied. Then he pushed me. Hard. Backward. Into him. I reacted without thinking. The bond exploded. Power surged through me like fire through veins. I felt Kaelin. His strength. His dominance. His fury. And I reached for it. Pulled. Not gently. The world bent. The air screamed. Kaelin roared. Not a sound. A command. The clearing shook. Every man but Darien collapsed to their knees, gasping, weapons dropping from numb fingers. Darien staggered. Eyes wide. What is this? This, Kaelin growled, is what you tried to steal. Darien snarled and shoved me away, drawing his sword. Kaelin was on him in an instant. Steel rang. They clashed like colliding storms. I stumbled, nearly falling. Then hands caught me. Marek's men surged from the trees. Battle erupted. I tried to move. To help. But my legs buckled. The power I had released drained me in one violent rush. I dropped to my knees. Breathing burned. My vision blurred. Elara! Kalen shouted. He was locked with Darian, blades grinding, eyes blazing. Darian was good. Very good. Trained. Prepared. He had anticipated Kalen's strength. Just not mine. He broke away suddenly. And instead of striking Kalen, he turned back to me. Ran. I couldn't move. Couldn't even scream. He reached me. Grabbed my arm. Yanked me upright. You're coming with me, he snarled. Kalen's shout split the air. He hit Darian from behind like a living weapon. They crashed. Rolled. Swords lost. Fists replaced steel. I dragged myself backward through snow, vision swimming. Darian struck Kalen in the ribs. Once. Twice. Blood darkened his armor. No. I screamed. Something inside me snapped. Not power. Not instinct. Something deeper. I crawled toward them. Reached. And the world ignited. Not outward. Inward. The bond between Kalen and me flared blindingly bright. I felt him. His pain. His anger. His fear. And he felt mine. Our power met. Twisted. Merged. The ground beneath Darian's knees cracked. He gasped. As if something invisible crushed him downward. Kalen surged up, bloodied but unstoppable. He slammed Darian into the earth. Hands at his throat. Call them off, Kalen said. Darian laughed wetly. Kill me, he rasped. It won't stop it. Kalen's grip tightened. Elara, he called without looking back. I forced myself upright. Moved closer. Met Darian's gaze. You lost, I said. Darian's eyes flicked between us. And for the first time, fear lived there. You think this ends it? He whispered. There are others. Counselors. Generals. Whole packs already pledged. Kalen's voice was death cold. Then you'll name them. Darian smiled through blood. Or what? Kalen leaned closer. Or I give you to the families of every pack you burned. Silence fell. Even the forest seemed to listen. Darian's smile faltered. You wouldn't. Kalen's eyes glowed gold. You know I would. Something broke. Shattered. Darian's breath hitched. Lord Havoc, he whispered. 3 council seats. The Iron Compact. Eastern Trade Guilds. They funded it. Planned it. I only executed. Kalen closed his eyes once. Then he struck. Not to kill. To render. Darian went limp. The battle ended in minutes after that. When the snow finally stilled, the clearing was filled with bound men and groaning wounded. Marek approached. My king, are you hurt? Kalen didn't answer. He crossed the space between us in 3 strides. Dropped to his knees. And pulled me into his arms. I hadn't realized I was shaking. He held me like he could anchor me to the earth. You scared me, he murmured into my hair. So did you, I whispered. He pulled back. Blood streaked his ribs. His shoulder. His side. Elara, he said urgently. Talk to me. Are you hurt? I don't think so. He searched me anyway. Hands gentle. Reverent. Then he exhaled shakily and pressed his forehead to mine. I can't lose you. The words were raw. Unfiltered. Not a king's words. A man's. I'm still here, I said. Because I was standing between you and him. And I was standing between you and death. His hands trembled against my back. This is what it means, he said quietly. Being with me will never be safe. I don't want safe, I said. I want real. He laughed softly. Broken. Then he kissed me. Not gentle. Not careful. A fierce, grounding kiss that tasted of blood and snow and promise. When we broke apart, Marek cleared his throat. We have a problem. Kalen turned. What? Darian's right. We found council seals on his men. Official writs. This goes higher than him. Kalen's jaw hardened. How high? Marek hesitated. High enough that returning to the capital is no longer safe. Kalen looked at me. Then at the bound traitors. Then we don't return, he said. We go to war. War does not always begin with trumpets. Sometimes it begins with silence. The kind that follows betrayal. The kind that settles when you realize the ground beneath your world has been hollowed out from the inside. We did not ride back to the capital. Kalen gave the order before the bodies were even cold. The eastern mountains, he said. To the old Iron Range. Marek stiffened. The abandoned fortress? Yes. If Darian was telling the truth, that's where they're holding the others. My chest tightened. The other residents. The ones they'd captured. The ones who hadn't escaped like I had. Tamsin knelt beside a wounded soldier. If the Iron Compact is involved, that fortress won't be abandoned anymore. That's why we go now, Kalen replied. Before they move them. Before they kill them. He turned to me. We're ending this. There was no crown in his voice. No ceremony. Just iron. We rode through the night. No torches. No banners. Only snow, stone, and the slow thunder of hooves. I rode behind Kalen, my arms around his waist, my cheek pressed to his back. He was injured, though he'd refused to slow. I could feel his blood warm beneath his armor. Feel the tension in him, coiled and brutal and barely contained. Lean on me, I murmured. I am, he answered quietly. We reached the Iron Range just before dawn. The fortress was built into the mountain like a wound that never healed. Black stone. Narrow slit windows. Smoke rising from within. Occupied. Heavily. Marek studied the slopes. They've reinforced the western gate. Ballistae. Watch posts. At least 50 men. Kalen dismounted. Then he turned to me. You don't have to go inside. Yes, I do. Elara. They're there because of me. He closed his eyes briefly. Then nodded. Then you don't leave my side. Partners, I said. Partners, he agreed. We didn't assault the gate. We went through the mountain. A forgotten smuggler's pass, half collapsed, barely wide enough to crawl. Cold stone scraped my palms. The air smelled of rust and old water. Somewhere above us, men were laughing. They had no idea. We emerged inside the lower chambers. A storage hall converted into a holding sector. And I felt them. Not with my ears. With my blood. Pain. Fear. Suppressed power. It called to me like a broken cord. Kalen stiffened beside me. You feel it? Yes. We moved. Quiet. Deadly. Marek's men took the guards without sound. And then we reached the cell corridor. Iron bars. Runes. Chains etched with old suppression sigils. Inside them. Men. Women. Young. Old. 12. Every one of them bearing the same hollow exhaustion. The same dim, burning spark behind their eyes. Resonance. When they saw me, some cried out. Some stared like they were seeing a ghost. "You're real," one whispered. "I am," I said. "And we're getting you out." Kalen stepped forward. "No one touches her," he commanded. The air bent. The sigils cracked. The chains fell. I had never seen dominance like that. Never felt it. And then something extraordinary happened. Their power stirred. Not chaotically. Not wildly. But in harmony. As if my presence gave it permission. A woman with silver hair staggered forward. "You're her," she said. "The one they couldn't find." "I'm Elara." Her hand shook as she touched my arm. "You woke us." Before I could respond, the fortress alarms began to scream. Shouts. Boots. Steel. Kalen turned sharply. "Marek, take them through the pass. Now." Marek hesitated. "My king. That is an order." He looked at me. Then back at Kalen. Then nodded. "Move." The resonants were led into the tunnel. I started after them. Kalen's hand closed around mine. "You're not going." "What?" "You're staying with me." "Kalen. This is where they're coming." He met my eyes. "And this is where it ends." The doors at the far end of the corridor burst open. Dozens of men poured through. Behind them, Lord Havoc. One of the king's own council. Clad in ceremonial steel. Smiling. "My king," he said. "You've made this wonderfully convenient." Kalen's jaw tightened. "You funded the slaughter of my people." "I funded evolution," Havoc replied. "You're too sentimental to lead this world." Havoc's gaze slid to me. "And you are magnificent." My skin crawled. "You're done," Kalen said. Havoc laughed. "You have no idea how many already stand with us." He raised his hand. The soldiers surged. Kalen stepped forward. And I felt him open. Fully. His alpha power rolled outward like a living tide. Men faltered. Some fell. Others pushed through, bleeding from eyes and ears, driven by something desperate and fanatical. Steel met steel. Fire. Blood. Shouting. Kalen was everywhere. A king of war. But there were too many. I felt it. The strain. The drain. The old fear rose in my throat. He was going to burn himself out. For me. For them. For everyone. And suddenly, I understood. I had been using my gift like a tool. A weapon. A burst. But it wasn't meant for that. Resonance wasn't about force. It was about connection. I reached for him. Not just his power. Him. His fear. His determination. His love. I opened myself completely. The bond exploded. But not outward. Inward. Through me. Through him. Through the space between us. His dominance deepened. Stabilized. Strength without destruction. The air changed. The world quieted. And then, the resonance in the tunnel answered. Their power rose. Not wild. Not broken. But woven. A chorus. Havoc staggered. "What is this?" "This," Kalen said softly, "is what you tried to own." He took one step forward. And every soldier still standing dropped. Weapons clattering. Knees hitting stone. Their wolves howled inside them. Overwhelmed. Defeated. Havoc fell last. Not kneeling. Crawling. "No," he gasped. "This wasn't how." Kalen stood over him. "This is exactly how," he said. Havoc was bound. The fortress secured. The war ended not with victory. But with exposure. By midday, riders had been sent. Evidence dispatched. Seals broken. The iron compact named. By nightfall, half the council would be in chains. The residents were safe. Wrapped in cloaks. Fed. Treated. Alive. And Kalen collapsed. He didn't fall. He sank. Like a man finally allowing the weight to land. I was there before he hit the ground. Catching him. Holding him. Elara, he breathed. I'm here. You did it. We did it. He looked at me. And something in his eyes changed. Not relief. Not triumph. Acceptance. This doesn't end, he said. There will be unrest. Retaliation. A kingdom to rebuild. I know. And staying with me means this life. I know. Danger. Politics. Blood. I know. He lifted a shaking hand. Touched my face. Then tell me why you're still here. I swallowed. Because when my world burned, I thought survival was all I had left. My voice trembled. You showed me I could build something instead. Tears blurred my vision. Because you don't shield me from the storm. You stand in it with me. He closed his eyes. Then pressed his forehead to mine. I love you. The words were simple. Unarmored. Not a king's. A man's. I love you, I whispered back. And in that moment, I chose. Not safety. Not escape. Him. Kalen, I said. Ask me. His breath caught. Elara Vale, he said quietly. Will you bind your life to mine? Not as my subject. But as my equal. My queen. My partner. My mate. Yes. The bond ignited. Not violently. Not painfully. Warm. Total. I felt him. All of him. His strength. His scars. His devotion. And he felt me. Not as a weapon. Not as a gift. As a woman. As his. We stood in the broken fortress as the sun rose. Not as fugitives. Not as survivors. But as something new. Something that would reshape what followed. Weeks later, I stood beside him in the High Council chamber. Not hidden. Not protected. Seen. The iron compact was dismantled. The corrupted council removed. The packs gathered. The resonance welcomed, trained, honored. No longer prey. But people. The court whispered. Some feared me. Some resented me. Many doubted. Kalen took my hand. And did not care. Let them watch, he murmured. They'll learn. He was crowned again. Not by blood. By loyalty. By truth. And when he placed the circlet upon my head, I did not bow. I lifted my chin. And met the world. That night, we stood on the balcony overlooking a kingdom still healing. Stars bright. Air cold. What happens now? I asked softly. Now, Kalen said, wrapping his arms around me, we build something better than what was broken. And us? He smiled. Us, we make sure neither of us ever stands alone again. I leaned into him. One storm. One room. One bed. And a fate neither of us had seen coming. But one we would face. Together.